Brian, stop the tape.
Okay, Mike. Oh, wait. Rewind that scene, please.
Rewind that scene.
Rewind that scene.
Rewind that scene.
I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Brian Bonds.
And this is the Rewind That Scene podcast. Baby, where we go back in time to our favorite cult classics from the 90s, 80s, 2000s, and kind of all the times, where we talk to actors, writers, directors, crew members, moms, dads, pediatricians, cats.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We keep things on track, and we make sure things stay fresh. Yeah. And on today's episode, we're going back into 1995, one of our favorite years. A lot of stuff happened that year.
That's when we actually first got the high A camera and did The Crow. Anyway.
Exactly. PS170 OLA days. So listen, we all know that you guys love Johnny Depp. Mm-hmm. And today we're going to talk about a movie that Johnny Depp was in and did some crazy stunts in. And I guarantee you haven't seen it. And if you did, I'm glad you're listening.
And you know
also,
what else?
Prick.
A real prick. Christopher Walken is in this. A real prick.
I'm crazy.
He's got some crazy faces.
I gotta pack my bullets in the gun.
Oh, man. So whoever hasn't seen this movie, it is just fucking crazy. It's like they have, 90 minutes? Everyday man who has a beautiful daughter who they essentially get kidnapped at gunpoint to kill the governor, right? And he has 90 minutes to do it, or the daughter dies. It's nerve-wracking. We watched this. We were on the edge of our seat. There's like close-up of sweating and like the clock ticking and really, really tense suspense thriller that we just adore.
And now as a parent, we look at this movie differently. For baby little Lynn, thank God she didn't die.
And this is such an honor to have the director, John Badham, who also did one of our, since we're from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, born and raised, Saturday Night Fever. He directed that. He did Short Circuit, War Games. His credits are just immaculate. He's pretty much done everything. And I think this is going to be good. So let's bring him on. We have a lot of questions about this.
What do you say, John?
John, it's a pleasure to meet you as two Brooklyn Bay Ridge natives. You've really graced us with just Saturday Night Fever, which was an influential film for us growing up. We always wanted to be like Travolta eating the two slices, and would love to pick your brain about that. But going through your credits, you've done so much amazing work. And one film that stuck out to us is Nick of Time. There's just this insane, fun, pulsating prick thriller energy in it that I love from Christopher Walken and parallel to Johnny Depp. And what I love about your films, you've really been able to make all different types of movies and really tones in them. And what drew you to Nick of Time and its unique real-time narrative style? Was it a challenge for you as a director or an opportunity?
How did you like approach that one?
Well, I just absolutely flipped over the story. Frankly, I'm a whore for plot, and it's got a lot of plot. And I just completely sucked in by it. And I thought, what if this were me and my daughter and me coming into town? I kind of made it for her, made it for my daughter, Kelly.
Oh,
the two of us together against the world and against this crazy situation, which on the face of it sounds totally unbelievable. And yet we're trying to make it believable and make it so people go, that couldn't happen. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Well, why doesn't he tell the cops? Oh, I see. I got that. And then the writer had always believed that it should be something that was done in real time. It's an exciting idea. And other than things like High Noon, very rarely done. So now you say, can we make it believable that it's in 90 minutes? My producer was thrilled because he said, well, that means we could start at 7:30 in the morning. By 9 o'clock, we'll have a whole movie. I said, I don't think it's going to work that
way. Oh, my God. Producer's dream.
Yes.
Well, I think when Brian and I watched it, of course, we were like, super young. We were like, it feels so intense and like I think we were like literally on the edge of our seats, like with the clock and the Christopher Walken is everywhere you pan. He's like, his face is everywhere. Like Can you like walk us through any of those like nerve-wracking like tension moments? Like how did you get it to be so intense?
Well, I mean, first of all, Johnny Depp, when we started talking to him about it, he said, "I want Christopher Walken to play this part."
Oh,
Wow. Okay, we should be so lucky. And I got Christopher Walken on the phone. He said, "Well, I play a lot of these guys. You know, I can't do Christopher Walken." But I was so fortunate to have him because he just has such a presence on screen, and you have to really be on your toes and have your best acting clothes on because he'll upstage you like crazy
Mm.
with the mannerisms that he has and his way of projecting dialogue.
Can you talk to us a little bit about like were there any kind of moments between you and him with like the directing and like things that you guys collaborated on, like with this character or like little nuances that made it its own?
Well, as we're blessed with a week of rehearsal, and one
Oh,
thing I learned in the week of rehearsal is that he's terrible with props, and yet he's always handling props like crazy. And especially when he picks up Johnny Depp and he whacks him with the gun on his legs, and they've got some kind of name tag game that's going on. They're trying to make up a name tag for him, and then he's got to take a pistol that has no bullets in it. He's got to load that while they're going up an elevator up to the 26th floor. He's got to load that while hanging on to Johnny Depp at the same time. So we would be shooting other scenes, and he would be sitting over beside. He almost never left the set, which is really rare because usually actors are gone the second you say, "Okay, we're going to light the set now," and they disappear. Just go and find an apple box and go sit there and be rehearsing, trying to load this silly weapon that he could do it in his sleep, blindfolded, because he was just so intensely into getting everything right and understood that he had limitations that way, and he was not going to treat it lightly.
Wow.
And with Johnny Depp, they had an instant kind of chemistry. They worked together. It was always antagonist and hero and antagonist together, but you could see them working the scenes out beautifully between them.
I love that.
They're just such pros.
Yeah.
What inspired the decision to have this be rooted in suspense, sort of in the everyman, ordinary life, like Gene Watson? You're just being thrusted into this chaos. Like, and I
Yeah.
love the use of the clock as well, with like it sort of really going back to that motif.
The ordinary sort of guy is what's interesting, not your classic action hero, but somebody who's a little bit nerdy. And that's why he's got his daughter with him, and he's an accountant. For Johnny Depp, this was a character compared to what he usually plays, wild and crazy things. For him, this was a big stretch.
Yeah.
And he took to it. He took to it with the glasses and the haircut and the suit that he wears, which is, wonderfully kind of cheap, threadbare suit that he wore for his job interview. So you needed somebody like that was not immediately going to respond in a strong, action-filled way to Christopher Walken's insane request, so that you're always on the edge of your seat going, this guy is not going to make it.
Right.
Yeah.
Up until the very end, when he finally gets to put Walken away, which was a whole story in itself.
Do you, for some of the diehard fans, we know we have a lot of friends here who really love this movie. Everyone we talk to really loves it. Do you have like a favorite memory or some sort of trivia that the diehard fans would love to know? Like, what your favorite, moment or bonding with someone or some stories that you could share?
I think one of the things that was so much fun was finding the location in the first place. I mean, we flew all around the country looking for these hotels. I had been in Atlanta to the Grand Hyatt on Peachtree Street, which is like 35 floors straight up, this huge, empty, cavernous place that something like this could take place in. And then finally, The writer called me and said, "How's it going?" I said, "Well, we've been all over the place and looking at these places." He said, "Have you been to the Bonaventure downtown LA?" I said, "No, we haven't gotten to that yet." He said, "Go there. That's what I wrote it for." You wrote it for that? Oh, well, geez, why didn't you tell me that 2 weeks ago?
Oh,
Could
no.
have saved a lot of lying here.
Oh my
We walked
God.
in- We walked in, and this picture just laid out like so easy. You know, we were there for an hour or two, and we had it all set.
Ah,
And Roy Wagner, the cameraman, was able to light it so quickly and so thoroughly that in the morning would walk in and basically flip a few switches, and we were lit,
wow.
which is really rare. So whatever our schedule was, we beat it by 5 days. We were not trying to be fast. It was just going quickly, which everybody loves, like to keep shooting and not be sitting around lighting and doing diddly things. You can actually, get a lot done. Johnny Depp said, "Oh, God, I love this." Not to mention which we were shooting with 2 cameras all the time. He had never been on a show where a director shot with 2 cameras.
That's super interesting. So was there like any challenges with like eye lines and like blocking because of the 2 cameras, or was it just
it's
smoother?
easy to work with 2.
Yeah.
If you get with 3 cameras or 4, it starts to get really kind of strange and hard to match up all those problems that you notice. But with 2, you can always get 2 good angles on it. And of course, Johnny Depp loved that because it meant less coverage, less sitting around, less doing it over and over and over again.
Right.
One of my favorite scenes is when he falls, on that big
into the pond.
Yeah, I love that scene. It always
Thank you, Brian. I'm gonna save that part of this interview and send it off to the Paramount guys who begged me to cut it out of the movie.
Oh, what? That's like, I love that scene.
I know it's such a great, crazy, surrealistic thing.
Love it. Love it.
We dreamed up, over a couple of days, and when they saw it, they said, "Oh, nobody's ever going to trust this movie ever again. You've got to cut it out."
Oh.
I just had to put my foot down, and thank God I got the support of Sherry Lansing, who was the head of the studio, who said, "No, I like it. It's okay. It's all right," because it was just so much fun. It was so far out there.
I'm glad your instincts were correct, because that really stayed with us. We're like, it's so crazy. Like just the way it's shot and the way he falls. It's like kind of slow motion and dreamy and like creepy.
Now I'll tell you the real creepy part of that was that we dropped Johnny Depp 10 stories 17 times.
Oh.
No, not 17. I should say 7 or 8 times.
Wow.
And we had him on a harness and a cable. And I said, would you think about doing this? He said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." Great. So in rehearsal, we hooked him up on the stage at Paramount and dropped him a few times, but only dropping like 30 feet. But now we're dropping him, and we want everybody to know that that's really him, and that's not some kind of special effect.
Right.
So we have to get absolutely perfect focus on his face, and you have to know that's him, and he's falling through space, and it's a lot better than some kind of rear projection or CGI kind of thing. Well, it turns out, I think it's all right if I say this, that our focus puller was not the best focus puller in the world. It was a little bit shaky.
Oh no.
and he was related to the cameraman, who kept saying, "Oh no, John can do this," and so he kept going out of focus as he dropped down, and we'd have to say, "Oh God, Johnny, we have to do it again." Can you hang in there?
Oh man!
After about the 5th time or 6th time, somebody said, "That other camera that we've got 8 stories up that is helping us out today, we brought in a 4th camera." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's Spielberg's camera crew, and they had time that we got them down here." I said, "Oh my God, Get him down here right away. Give me Spielberg's focus puller. So this guy doesn't take measurements, no tapes. He just stands there, looks up. Okay, action. Absolutely crystal clear.
Holy crap.
Not one frame out of sync. And thank God, John Badham kills Johnny Depp. In the newspaper, I'm seeing New York Times, director does it again here.
Oh my God. I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that.
That's amazing. What a crazy shoot. I'm glad that you, like Mike said, you trusted your instincts and, your gut, and you went with that.
I'm an editor, so I appreciate you fighting for the good edit,
Yeah, I'm a great fan of good editors, and they've saved my bacon more times than I can think of.
Yeah.
Frank Morris, who edited that film, was my cutter for 30 years.
Amazing.
On almost every picture I did, and it was just first class. I had a rule with editors, which is you cannot come to the set. I don't want you on the set. I don't want you looking at stuff. All I want you to do is to be looking at the dailies that I send you and judging by yourself if it's any good or not, if it's usable. But if you're on the set standing with me, you're going to see how hard it was to get a shot like that. And you're going to be going, oh, it was so hard. Can't we keep it? No, it just sucks. This shot is terrible, or this performance moment is not good. And so that was always what I asked for from editors, is that free third opinion when they don't know how hard it is for you to get a shot or what the problems were. They're just saying, this is not going to cut. This is not going to be very good.
Totally. Just come in completely objectively, right? Just fresh eyes, no preconceived notions.
Yeah. And like a lot of editors that kind of almost don't believe it, but they don't even like to read the script. Look at the film and start putting the story together, and not reading this script with lines drawn all through it and where stuff is. Just now using all the nonlinear cutting that we've been doing now for quite a while. You don't even have to be handling the film. You can just be calling it up on the monitors and playing with it.
How was it shooting the scene with the shoe shiner where he beats the shit out of the wooden leg?
That guy is so memorable.
Charles Dutton, shoe shine guy, and a
great actor.
Wonderful actor. Yeah. And there's a movie out, just came out, directed by Malcolm Washington and Denzel Washington, called The Piano Lesson. And it was based on a famous play that was done in New York called The Piano Lesson. Rock Dutton had the lead in that on Broadway and played it. And when I saw him in The Piano Lesson, I said, this is the guy I want. And he just knocked it out of the park.
Totally has such a great performance in that, and you're glad that he's on Johnny Depp's side.
Yeah, the way he pulls through is so great.
Yeah,
like the van scene. Love that van scene. Great creepy molester van too. I love it.
Yeah, with this strange woman in the back.
Exactly. Me and Brian were talking about the scene with the gun where she's like holds the gun behind the seat to the girl. We were like, oh God, this is so nerve-wracking. And her face is so good.
Yeah, you get a child in jeopardy up against Johnny Depp, and you go, oh, okay, it's a gun against Johnny Depp. When with a 6-year-old, you go, ah. And of course, she was just cute as she could be.
Yeah.
40 years old in a 6-year-old body. Just wonderful.
Especially as a fellow parent, I got scared.
We're both parents. It was also good, like banter, how they would fight each other like a husband and wife team. I enjoyed that too. Like she's like, oh God, again. Okay, whatever. Like,
yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, they were fun together.
Yeah.
No, I had a wonderful cast. I mean, I was so lucky to get Marsha Mason to play the governor. And when we're doing the scenes outside, we introduce her and she's coming out to give a speech. I had sitting beside me up on the podium, Tom Bradley, who had been the mayor of Los Angeles for 20 years. And his part in the movie was to introduce Marsha Mason. And he watched her being paraded through the crowd and everybody applauding and everything. And he said, "This woman could be the governor. She's
Yeah.
it. I like her." My Hitchcock job at the moment was to introduce Tom Bradley, whose job was to introduce Marsha Mason.
That's really cool.
That little, yeah. Oh my God, so good.
Is there a specific story that you had, or an alternate ending you had in mind?
I had a young studio executive assigned to the movie who called me when we got close to that part of the thing. He said, "Now, this is where Johnny Depp is supposed to shoot Christopher Walken." Yes. He said, "Well, we're getting a lot of trouble from Washington about violence in films. So we only want him to be shot one time." I said, "That just hardly just seems like it's worth it. We built up this movie over 90 minutes and we're just going to pop and that's it." And no, absolutely. One shot, no more. Okay. So we get to staging that. And I say to Johnny Depp, "Johnny, we're only supposed to shoot one shot." He said, "Fuck that. I'm not doing it for this." He said, "Well, the studio is on us." He said, "No way, no way. I'm going to shoot what I want."
Yes.
And I feel like I'm really trapped between a rock and a hard place because I know he's right, but I've also got these standing orders from the Paramount studio exec, and then it came to me. I said, "Great. Tell you what, shoot as much as you want, and that'll be fine. Just go right ahead." And so he comes out and he just unloads the entire magazine. And now, going back to editing, I call up Frank Morris and I said, "When you cut this scene, just make sure that he shoots one time.
Oh,
And don't let him shoot all the other times. That's what we're going to show the studio." And so we do that. And it gets to that point in the movie, and I've got Sherry Lansing, the head of the studio, sitting behind me. And as soon as that happens and he shoots one time, her little clipboard light goes on and she starts scribbling. And I can tell that she's writing something terrible. And the movie is over like in the next 5 minutes or so. And the light comes up and she said, "I like this movie. I only have one note. What in the hell were you thinking about shooting him just one time?"
oh,
Uh,
amazing.
I said, "Oh, well, we were given those instructions that was to be it." She said, "Well, we need to have more. That you just can't have it like that. It's so unsatisfying." I said, "Oh, well, maybe we can find some way to do it. I don't know. I hope we don't have to do retakes."
Oh my God, I love
She
that.
said, "Oh, please don't." They say, "Okay, it's lunchtime." Frank and I walk back to the cutting room. He reaches into the Avid. He pulls up a few extra gunshots, pop, 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 drops them in. Then we go to lunch 5 minutes later. "Okay, well, we fixed it. It was tough, but we managed to make it work."
Yes.
Yes,
You got two victories. You got the balcony and the gunshots.
that's right. Well, a lot of years in studio politics. In the middle 60s in the mailroom at Universal with people like Walter Hill, who was in the mailroom with me, and Mike Medavoy, who was the head of Orion Pictures, all on my way up going through television episodes, television movies of the week, dealt with every kind of studio executive. And you learn a few tricks along the way.
Is there anything like, what are you up to these days? Are you still shooting? Anything you want to talk about? Like any projects?
Well, I've been teaching filmmaking at Chapman University at their film school, which I have to give a plug for because it's the number 4 film school in America.
Hell yeah.
And I've been teaching directing there for 21 years.
Wow.
And just this last week was my retirement dinner.
Oh,
Wow.
It's going
congrats.
to be that time. I hate to leave it, but it's just gotten to be the time. And now what I'm working on is putting together videos of all my lectures that are on not only working with actors, but on action and suspense. And it'll be online, available to teachers and students. I use it use some of the ones I've already made in my classes with me narrating them.
We really appreciate your time. Like Saturday Night Fever, amazing. You know, War Games, Short Circuit is another one that we're obsessed with. So we are such an honor to talk to you, John. And
thank you
for everything, man. You're such an inspiration.
Thank you. I'm glad you like Short Circuit too.
Really good. Really good.
Right outside my office where I'm talking to you is number 5. He's there on guard.
Yes. We need a picture. John. Whoa. He is sharp as a nail.
I love it.
Man, his memory. He has such a good memory.
He's a great professor.
Yeah, I want him to be my professor. Maybe one more lesson for Risen Bond.
It's true. What a great life story here, and also, also parenting. He's thinking about his daughter and him. I love this story, and I love his process, man.
I know, and I have a daughter, so when I was watching it again, I was thinking about Bia.
I know.
In the backseat of the molester van.
Oh my goodness!
You know,
you saw baby Lynn, and you were like, "Oh my goodness, this could be my baby Bia."
Exactly.
I'm not letting her get close to Christopher Walken.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I wanted to say that we didn't really bring up. There's a lot of like uneasy angles. Do you remember that? Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of like weird kind of Dutch things going on, like dreamy, like stressful close-ups. They also use a lot of reverb, like a lot of reverberating, echoing, almost like when he's about to do the gunshot.
That's true.
You
know,
know,
a lot of tension building.
A lot of good tension stuff that I've noticed. Even the sound design. I love a good sound design mix.
Yeah,
There's some good stuff going on there.
This film inspired us so much that Mike and I went to the mall where they shot it at and jumped off.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to talk a little more about Saturday Night Fever, but I'm glad we kept it kind of, nice and firm to nick of time.
Me too. I'm glad he's still there with Johnny Five by his side as well.
Do you think he's going to send us a picture?
I hope so. I think about it every day.
And I'm also really happy we talked about the ending. What do you think about the way it ended? I remember we kind of felt a little weird about that.
Yeah, just, there was no sort of closure. I kind of wish I saw them, on a meal or nice sort of trip. But at the same time, it's like...
It just goes to the street. And it just
so
like
chaotic.
ends.
Yeah, it's so chaotic. It leaves you with this like, oh, wow, the craziness is finally over,
Yeah, totally.
It's interesting.
Totally.
Yeah, very, very 90s style-esque film and classic thriller political games.
Exactly. Well, we wanted to thank all of our fans and catch us on lines at Bobo Touch everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, the TikToks, everywhere. We do web series, we do sketch comedies, we do music. Brian's a sick musician, kind of like a baby John Mayer type.
Oh, yeah, and Rizzo's a sick editor. He does crazy wizardry on the piano like Amy Dolphin.
I'm really happy that we talked about editing. That really gets me horny. But,
oh, my God.
Anyway, we love you guys. Thank you so much, and tune in next time.
Bobo Touch.